Hello, welcome back to Dear Source, your Ascendancy Hotline. Today is Friday. It's our wrap up show for the week. I answer any questions that have come through on what episodes we've premiered this week, as well as tell you about what's coming up next week so you can answer any questions that you might have. So, welcome in. I am so excited for the show today. And we'll just get right into it. So, um, the show this week, we went over my spiritual journey. So, I shared with you just what led me to where I am right in this moment. And I think the purpose of sharing that story was really to share with all of you that we all are on a journey. And the journey is back to ourselves. That's really what we are here on this earth to do, is to really, truly know ourselves. And we all hold all this magic within us. So I think, even me deciding at the beginning of this year to step into shamanism, I didn't even think about it, but how beautiful. Like we're in the 8th year, 8 plus or 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. And that's a completion number. It's infinite. It's an infinity symbol, 8 is as well. And to think about just stepping into my gifts in that year. And it feels like the next new beginning, but to realize, I think that we all possess that within us. And I think what a beautiful gift, to be on this journey. And somebody asked me, like, what is your biggest learning? And the biggest learning is everyone that you encounter is your teacher. Everyone is just a gift to you to ultimately grow yourself. We've externalized it. And I think learning the lessons of the ego and really learning what is the ego and how does the ego work is, I think, also been my key journey. Because when I'm in my Christ-like state, when I'm just a pure vessel of God, source, the universe divine, when I'm in my shamanic vessel of being the hollow bone, of just being here and allowing source to flow through me, it's really amazing the ease at which life really works. And everybody that I have encountered along my journey has been a teacher, and people really are mirrors. So when I think about people that may agitate me, or maybe, whatever it might be, like I think of my 2 children, they are like my greatest teachers, my parents, romantic lovers that I've had, my ex-husband, like they've all been mirrors of where I can expand and grow and expand into the remembrance of who I am, and to detach from the external influences that I think that they are. And so I've had some incredible learnings. I'm happy. It's not about me sharing, it's just their lessons. And I'm almost certain almost all of us have encountered these along the way. And they're just teachers. They're just teachers. Like I will find myself and noticing, and part of the growth process that I've learned on this journey is all you have to do is be aware. Like building the muscle of awareness of where am I coming from, what's being triggered right now. All of that is just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gift to go, oh, that actually isn't true. That isn't in alignment with the highest truth of myself. And this is what I know to be true. And I get to change that. And so that's one of the most beautiful gifts that I've learned and that I get gifted every single day. So I have not reached a point where I am so um, enlightened that it's like I'm unnerved by every person on this planet or things that go on. It's just an awareness like, what is that? What is that teaching? What is that teaching? That was a gift to me from God. And that's, I think, the other thing that I'm learning is it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. It's happening for my highest growth. So you really step into being the creator of your own reality and you're not the victim in the game, as we would say. So that would be the other really key lesson is everything has been a gift for me. It has taught me something and it's elevated me along my journey. And I'll continue to have those experiences every single day, as well as um, that we live in a friendly universe. Like we live in an incredible um, universe that is here in love and support. And we, as human beings, are the ones creating our suffering. And we, quite honestly, are addicted to our suffering. We are very familiar with our suffering. And I think as we watch the shift that's going on in our planet, as we go through the Great Awakening, as we step into the healing of each of ourselves, and not in the sense of our ego wants us to think that we're so flawed. I think the other thing I've really profoundly learned on my journey is that you are divine and perfect. And I was here to just remember that. And our ego likes to take us down rabbit holes of not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. Oh my gosh, read this help, but go try this, go do this, go do that. And we're here to just remember the essence of who we are. We are here to just step into the essence of who we are. That's it. We're not here to do anything else. And so I think that is also a challenge that we face as a human collective is there isn't a bunch of self-help that needs to be done. It's just a rewiring back to the true essence of who we are. And when I say we're going to fight for our divinity, like what is this really about? We're here to remember the true essence of who we are, the divine essence of our being. And that's even what Christ was teaching us. If you're a Christian and like, what was he teaching us? He was teaching us who we were. He was showing us who we were. And that's the journey we're really here to step into, is to be the Christ like self that we are. The second coming of Christ isn't another physical incarnation of Christ. It's us remembering that we have the Christ within us when we understand the play between ego and our higher self, our consciousness, and come into balance between our humanity and our divinity. And that's really what he was pointing us to. And so, as I continue on my spiritual journey, I continue to study Christ. I continue to study the ancient literature and works of what was really taught. So breaking out of, again, all the 3D societal constructs. If it was made by man, probably we should be questioning it, would be my advice, to really tap in and to discern, is that really what was going on or what he was pointing to? And so that's just something for us to continue to ponder and continue to think about. And so for me, it's about faith. It's about faith to me is action, like knowing who I am and do I act from that space. And there's something I've lived by for a long time, but really I think as I've stepped in on my journey is energy doesn't lie. Like if we all tuned in, we actually wouldn't really have to verbally communicate with each other. Um, but when you feel what it's like to be around other people, how does that feel? How does your soul feel? Like we know, when we talk about gut instinct or, you know, um, when it's like, I knew this guy was bad, you watch like, if you, which I don't spend a lot of time on because I think it's pretty low vibe around like serial killers and stuff like that. But, where it's like you have an inclination and you know it, and it's honoring that. And I think the other big piece of my journey that I would share is how do you step into just the authenticity of who you are? And when you step into the knowingness of who you are, you step into honoring yourself. You aren't here to then people please and make people feel comfortable. And I saw somebody else talking about this and they're like, people pleasing is manipulation. I actually don't agree with that. I think people pleasing is an output of not knowing who you truly are. And I think also wanting to make other people feel comfortable. And we don't know how to be ourselves, the truest version of ourselves, the expression of our soul, the vibration of who we are, and to hold that vibration and doing that in an unconditionally loving way and accepting everybody else exactly where they are at on their journey at this present moment, at this present time, and not hold any judgments against them. And I think oftentimes people pleasing is because we don't know ourselves, but then we want to make it comfortable for other people, which is also not really serving them. If you think about um, Christ, and if he chose to not just hold the frequency of pure consciousness all the time, he would not have had the impact in the world that he would have had. He held the frequency of who we were. The people that loved him, and the people like the Pharisees and all of those that didn't because he was an adjutant, but it was never about changing to conform or fit in. And so we're here to find that frequency of ourselves. We're here to honor that frequency of ourselves and to express that into the world is love. That's the way we're supposed to be. We are supposed to act, from the state from love, of pure divine love. And that's what we're here to do. And if we can act in a loving way, that's a good time to take a pause and maybe not say anything, um, and to really take a step back. And so those are the nuggets of the big things that I've learned and I'm still working on is like, how do I exude that energy of just pure consciousness when I'm out in the world? So thank you for that question that came up this week. I really appreciate it. And again, if you want to engage and have a conversation about how do you really do that, let's connect. I want to share, the work that we do here on this planet is when we work on healing ourselves, when we work on tuning into our highest frequency, when we work on tuning in to our unique vibrational alignment, which each one of our souls has a unique frequency. And we are here to play a magnificent orchestra of how that plays out. But we can't have a beautiful musical piece unless all of our instruments are tuned. And when we tune our instruments, we give everybody else access to tune their instrument. And so the work really here is within ourselves. It's not big action out into the world. You'll be caused to go into action based on what source is telling you to do, but it's more from your state of being than than actually trying to get. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down. But and maybe I'll unpack that in another episode. So I'll kind of put a pin in that and come back to really the energy of being versus the energy of doing, and how do we really make that shift. Another question came through around the episode we had on feeling conflicted and just how to tap into our discernment. So sometimes what I would offer is, how do you get quiet? How do you really sit with the information that you're receiving in the world? How are you? Because everything exists in relationship. That's what the universe is really trying to teach us, is we are in relationship with everything. So even if we're getting information off social media, that is a relationship. So I would offer up like sitting with that, sitting in meditation, sitting with what you know to be true, rather than getting triggered by it. Like take a step back and really absorb and think, where does that land within me? What's the reaction I have to that? Like your body is part of your beautiful magic and your beautiful instrument, and it's a GPS for you. So listen to your body, listen to what it's telling you. Oh, like that kind of weighs heavy on my heart. Okay, why is that? Like sit with that, explore that. What's that triggering within me? Because when we go within and we look within ourselves, to find out what that's causing, like dissonance within us. Like our body is our GPS, our emotions are our GPS. So listen to that. Listen to that, not only with information you're taking in, because again, everything is in relationship. Listen to that when you're in relationship with people. How do you feel around those people? We are finely tuned, gifted beings. So if it's like, I don't like being around that person, you can find ways to protect your energy, be in that space with them, but know, like honor that within you. That doesn't mean you have to judge it. It's just, again, we are gifted all these things. So how do we use that information? And that doesn't mean you need to change, like, oh, this person's pissed, so I need to like make this better. No, it's about holding your frequency. How we hold boundaries is by tuning to our frequency. Boundaries start to become like an electric fence when we really tune into ourselves. We actually don't even have to say them out loud, because your frequency that you're exuding is really going to communicate that out. So really understand, your relationship, sit with things. If you're starting to get revved up, that's a good time to take a step back and calm down. It's also a good time to remember, like, we are in a friendly universe. We are in a space that is benevolent. The absence of God, the evil only exists in the absence of God. So if we want less what we would perceive evil or bad in the world, then we need more God in place of that. We need more of an understanding and a remembrance of the divinity and the good of who we are. So great question. The other space that really came up, another question, was the tired of false promises with the coaching sector. And again, I would just, how people are like, how do you really discern? Like, again, sit with that. If people are like high pressures and you're like, I said no, honor that no. Like, honor that no and walk away from that. Like, we know when things are a vibrational connection for us. Identifying within ourselves the disconnect of like, why, number one, why did I choose to act? If I engage with, any external project, again, it's a relationship. So where's my state of being from which I'm acting from. So if I'm perceiving lack and I want to engage with this coaching person because they're promising X, Y, and Z, you're probably attracting more lack. And they know who they're marketing to. If they think, well, what kind of clients are they going to get? They're probably not producing a lot of successful clients because their vibration is also lack. If their marketing message is like, hey, you feel like you suck and you want to make six figures in 60 days, come over here with me. I'll teach you how. Like, they're they already are perceiving you're lacking because you wouldn't be chasing the six figures in 60 days if you were feeling whole and complete, as well as understanding like what we're really here to do. And I think great coaches, I think anybody in the healing space, anybody working to be in service should be helping you activate your gifts, and they should also be radiating theirs out. And so to be in service means that you're giving to then receive. So like pay attention, like when they say they're doing something for free and you get on the call and it's like this round and round and round that doesn't tell you anything, that is telling you something. Like we'll tease them that we're going to tell them how to do this, but then we won't really tell them how to do this and we'll get them to sign up for our coaching program. It's like there's no specific, there's no what to do. Like, what if I gave you all my secrets away, which I'm happy to do? I don't really have any. You have all the answers within yourself. Like the magic of a coach is helping you uncover that and uncover the blocks that are holding you back from that. That's what a coach is really helping you do, is to tune into yourself, to align with yourself, and to step into the essence of who you truly are. Like what one person has is blocks and roadblocks from their success is completely different than somebody else. There really is no one size fits all, although we do have collective patterning out there. But how I tune that to make that work for me is individual to me, because the frequency of who I am is not like anybody else. So how that needs to resonate within me is individual to me. So I'd also really advocate finding one-on-one coaches, people that you can work and get your needs met, would also be my advocate for you with that question. So great question, but I would really advocate if you're looking for a coach, a mentor, I wouldn't be looking for blanketed programs. I would really be looking for people that want to serve, that can specialize, that specialize in helping you individually and not have some blanket program, because every person needs something different. So that's my piece of advice that I would put out into the world, and to trust yourself. Again, use your God-given discernment. Tune in. What's your body telling you? How are you feeling? Where do you feel that in your body? Taking a step back, really processing. People that really honor that, you're going to know and you're going to feel it. And I think that that's a gift that you have. And part of what we're doing on this earth is tuning that in. So if you have more questions, or if you'd like a private session with me just to connect and talk more about this individually, I would love that. And the opportunity to book with me is always included in every link in the description box. So please, I'm happy to get you on my calendar. And then the last question I'll take really is around the lost in the extremes, and how do we get to a place of feeling worthy? It's like we have such societal constructs to break. And the person asks, like, we do have so much addiction because we are in such a state of lack. And we are in such a state of lack because we are disconnected from the wholeness of who we are. So lack is pervasive on this planet, but that's a part of, I think, the construct that we're here to break, to understand and remember who we truly are. So when I think of anything that we do, um, whether it's working out excessively, whether it's um, micromanaging our food excessively, anything is addictive. Anything is trying to probably fulfill three essential needs within ourselves. We're either lacking, we don't feel good enough, so that we feel incomplete. We're missing something within ourselves, and we think something external to us is going to fill us up. And that's just, there's no other words to say. It's just a complete lie. There is nothing external to you that's going to fill you up. The only thing that's going to fill you up is the remembrance of the wholeness, the completeness, the energy of who you are. And that's the work that we're here to do, is to remember that we are God eternal within the body, that we are an emanation of God, that we are the infinite abundance of the universe. We are the universe experiencing itself through us. Like, we couldn't even experience the universe if we weren't us. It's a paradox. I know that sounds crazy weird, but it's like we wouldn't even know the essence of the whole if there wasn't us embodied to remember that. And so it's just a gift to look at, where am I looking at myself and not acknowledging the wholeness and the completeness of who I am. We're also we're here to embody and understand our ego, because that's our humanness, you know, but our ego likes, you know, likes to keep us in the not enoughness. It likes to keep us in lack. It wants to keep us attached to the outcome. If I don't get this outcome, I'm not going to be worthy. If I don't lose 5 pounds in 30 days, I am going to feel like a piece of shit. Like, what if you loved yourself and the 5 pounds melted away because you were so in love with yourself that you weren't trying to chase it? Because the other thing is we cycle back to these things, because it's like, okay, 5 pounds. Okay, everybody thinks I look great. Now I got to lose 10 pounds. Like, there's never enough. Watch the patterning in your own lives. Like, you will become, that's never enough. It's like we see that with drug addicts or alcohol or anything. It's like, okay, like that was fun, that was good. And then it's like, okay, you want more and more, because you think like the more you have, the more it's going to take that edge off. And anything that's altering your state is not high vibrational. If you want to be high vibrational and you want to be the essence of God, source, the universe, divine, if you want to really step into the authenticity of who you are, alcohol, drugs, all those things are keeping you out of that essence. They're low vibrational, so it matches. So that kind of dovetails the conversation about the person that was asking about the food supply and medications this week. Is like, you've got to think about, like, what I put into my body is a vibrational match to who I want to be. Does that raise my vibration? Does that elevate me to the next level? So think about those things. Think about, like, slow down and really observe. We're here to be the observers. Observe. Why am I making that choice? Like, are we in conscious thought about, okay, I want to go eat a whole bag of gummy bears, because I shared I love gummy bears. Probably, if I really took a step back and said, why do I want to eat a whole bag of gummy bears? There's probably something really behind that to drive. And to ask myself those questions, and then be in choice of, like, okay, maybe I'll have like a handful. And that will satiate my sweet tooth, because we are human. but I don't need to eat the whole bag. So I think when we think about extremes, and I would just reinforce the message that I shared on that episode, which you can go back to, is just what's the underlying behavior that's driving that? And taking time to get control of what's driving that. So instead of just taking time to observe that and to understand, like, am I in lack? Am I feeling fearful? Am I feeling attached to this outcome? And if I don't get it, I'm going to be angry. Really identifying. And then if I get angry, I need to go work out because I got to work out my frustrations. And it's like every time you have a frustration, it's like, I'm just going to go work out. Well, you're not really dealing with what's going on. So, yes, working out is good to move the body. We should be moving our body. It's our temple, but we have to be in right relationship with what it's doing in order to serve us. So doing it to not deal with something isn't ultimately the solution. There's never going to be a body that you have that will ever be good enough because you're chasing something, because you're coming from a place of lack and thinking that you're more worthy because of the way your body looks. That also, yes, it houses, but that doesn't make you more worthy. The frequency, when you go, your body stays here. It's left, it decays, it goes back to the earth. It doesn't come with you in your next lifetime, on your next, wherever you're going in this journey, because our souls are infinite. They're going on forever because they're energy. We know the principle, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It just changes forms. So the form of which we house ourselves is not the be all end all. So again, what is your relationship? What is your relationship with anything that you're engaging with? So just think about that. What is the relationship that you're engaging with? That thing. And if it's like, I'm engaging with that because I'm lacking, that right there, and sitting down and really sitting with that and identifying where does that come from and work on that inner healing, that's going to be what really shifts the long-term outcome of what you're doing. Is you've got to be willing to sit and go within, and to also know, like, yeah, I can sit and go within and to feel those emotions, but then at the same time, you've got to be able to then say, that's not true. Yes, I feel that. And it feels so shitty because it's not the truth of who I am. I am God Himself made manifest in this body. I am God eternal within the body. I am an emanation of God. So, yes, you've got to sit and understand those emotions. You've got to understand the love that piece of you, love that piece of you back into the wholeness of who you are. But then you also have to have that moment where you remember, because if you also stay in that constant state of lack, and woe is me, and this story and that story, you're never going to move out of that. And that's also, again, your ego. Your ego wants you to think that you're very broken, that you're separate from everything else. Nobody else has had this trauma. Nobody else can understand. That is your ego talking. That isn't God talking. God is saying to you, you are an emanation of me. You are the infinite abundance of who I am. So we have to do both. We have to understand and sit with that emotion. And then we need to requalify that into, thank you for showing me where I wasn't remembering the truest essence of who I am. So again, like, so much to unpack here. And these are such incredible questions. So please keep your letters coming. Next week, we've got topics of dating, which shall be fun, parenting, and parenting teenagers specifically. We will have special guests on for two. I didn't share this before, but I'm also in real estate and have been in real estate, and I'm licensed in two states, in Colorado and in Utah. And we're going to have, I had somebody reach out about their frustrations of being a real estate agent. So I'm going to have a special guest on to talk about as a real estate coach, as well as I've gotten asked questions about shamanism and my shamanic journey, but I wanted to invite in my practitioner and who I learned from and who has been doing it for many years, to answer all the questions that came through around shamanism and how does that apply in our world today. So thank you so much for joining me on Dear Source today, our weekly wrap up show. I'm excited for what's coming up next week. I cannot wait to continue to engage with you guys. So please continue to write in. Please continue to ask questions. Please continue to share your stories. The way we heal is through healing ourselves and through each other. And so, what a privilege, what an honor. I feel very blessed that this is what God has called me to do, to be in service of this planet at this time. And so, continue to reach out, continue to write in. Please book a private session with me if you want one-on-one and you want some clarity and you want just some other human being to bounce something off of. And I will point you, if I can, in the right direction and or just be an ear to listen. So the other thing that's coming is the Ascendancy Collective. And it's really going to be a transformational community where you can have all your needs met, body, mind, and soul. So I'm working on that every day. And we will be unveiling a free community to get into, to start interacting with. And I could not be more excited about that. My goal here, again, is just to serve the human collective, serve humanity, and ultimately make every person step into the highest and greatest version of themselves, because how we're going to heal the world is through healing ourselves. So much love and light to you guys. Thank you for all your interaction, for all your participation, and for allowing me to be a channel for source and to share back with you. So until next time, trust the process, honor your truth, and stay connected with source.